Scanning. Identity authorized. Welcome to the Secret Superhero Club Podcast Network.
This week on the Animation Station podcast, I sit down with Kristina Nguyen to talk about her webcomic, Fictional Skin. And, we're basically gonna chat about 90s anime nostalgia and what it's like to be old. Enjoy! Hi everybody, welcome to the Animation Station podcast. This week brought to you by Apparel. I'm your host Josh, and joining me today is webcomic creator Kristina Nguyen. How are you doing today, Kristina?
Hi, I'm doing good.
All right, Kristina. Now, so for our listeners that don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm 28 years old, female, living in Southern California, and I'm currently I worked as a freelance illustrator, but right now I'm working on a personal webcomic.
Excellent. Now, what made you want to do this webcomic?
It's been kind of one of those personal projects that's been on the back burner for a while because of work. But now, I've set aside a lot of time for myself to this, and then there's not really a good, what do you call it? The right time for me to do it, but then I decided to just go ahead and do it anyway.
So this was you just decided, you know what, this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and get Fictional Skin out. Yeah,
pretty much. It's just been in the shelves for a while, and then I feel like I'm sort of ready to do it, and then I kind of just did it anyway. Yeah, it's now or never kind of thing.
Okay, so we're going to go a little bit back in time. So everybody sit back, relax. We're going to go back in time. So now, Kristina, are you from Southern California?
Yep, I was born here, and then I pretty much lived here my whole life in California.
Awesome. Now, so what was it like for you growing up?
It was pretty easy, I guess. I didn't think I would be an artist. I thought I would be going to business school because my parents were in business. And then I guess the animation industry, especially, it started being more prominent. So a lot more schools and programs started opening up for that, or it became more well known, I guess. And then so pretty much then my family kind of took the chance on me to let me do my thing.
So, so what exactly did you want to be growing up? So I know you said that you thought you were going to be a business person, but is that what you wanted to be growing up, or what was little Kristina wanting to do?
I wanted to draw comics. That was the thing. That was since third grade. Since Sailor Moon came out back in the 90s. I wanted to be comic artist. Yeah. But I honestly thought that was just going to be a hobby. I thought that was just going to be something I would do on top, on the side. And I think I was okay with that. But I didn't think I can actually do that as a living. So I think I kind of grew up in the right time to do it.
Excellent. Yeah. So so I take it you're a big fan of animation growing up.
Yeah, definitely. Both American and Japanese cartoons.
So what was some of your growing up? What were some of your favorite things to watch? So yeah, it can be anime, it can be American cartoons, whatever.
Yeah, it's there was Toonami back then, for sure. There had
the good old stuff.
Yeah, the staple anime, and then there was Cartoon Network. That was a huge influence. I love Dexter's Laboratory and Powerpuff Girls. But actually, what made me start drawing was Calvin Hobbes, the comic book series, newspaper comic. Yeah, that was my school friends in first to third grade. They introduced it to me, and then I think that one actually got me drawing, and that was totally not anime style, but and I didn't even understand half of the content of it because it was a lot more mature than I thought. But I think that's one of the things that actually kickstarted me drawing, and then it was animation afterwards.
Nice. Now, Oops, sorry, I lost all my notes.
No problem.
Going off of your answer there, what were some of your favorite things to draw? So like, were you just copying like the Calvin and Hobbes style? Were you making your own Calvin and Hobbes?
What did I draw? So Sailor Moon was a huge influence, and I like to draw me and my friends as like the Sailor Scouts a lot.
We did the same thing, except ours was DBZ, so we were all rocked out in Saiyan armor with little scouters and everything. Yeah,
definitely. It was so funny. Like, and then recess, like my friends would like pretend our pens were like our transformation tools, and like it was so funny. And then like they would love it. Like that would draw like comics like about us just like being Sailor Scouts, and then we would like make up our own names, so which I forgot, but like make up planets or whatever. And but yeah, like I think that was like anything that involved my friends, I kind of like drawing stuff out of. Like that's like way childhood, and then yeah.
Sweet. Now, when exactly did you start doing? So I know you said you wanted to be a business, or you thought you were going to be a businesswoman.
Yeah.
When did the transformation happen to where, what happened in your life, like with your parents and everything, to decide, let's go ahead and let her pursue her career in art?
Yeah. It was definitely in high school, because that's when you had to apply for colleges in around junior year. And I think it was actually my mom that told me about this college in Pasadena. It's called Art Center College Pasadena. And then she said, "Oh, I heard that the school is pretty good, like, but it's very expensive." She's like, "Are you serious about art?" That's the thing she wanted to know, because like understandably, like if I wanted to be serious, then I had to commit a lot of time into it. I still didn't know much about the industry back then. I didn't know like pretty much the opportunities like the animation industry had, like what kind of different fields there are, until like actually gone to college. And still, even in college, like until I graduated, it was still like figuring out what I wanted to do. So the turning point, it's pretty much high school. Like, and then I'm glad that she actually like trusted me enough. And then she was like, if that ever fails, you can just like switch majors, go to different school. Like, well, I'm glad you trust me enough. I'm very lucky for that, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. You had some really supportive parent. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're pretty supportive. Like, and I totally understand like why they I think the business thing is more like because they did it, and it was like I wouldn't say a safer route, but it's a little more like secure. Yeah, for sure. And then it's the whole like they thought, because I'm a younger daughter, I have an older sister, and then they thought like one of us would help out their business and stuff. But I guess it turned out like I just wanted to do drawing. Yeah. So yeah.
So you mentioned Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
What are some of your other influences for your art?
Yeah. Let's see. So, comic-wise, I grew up whatever they had back then. There was like Clamp, like Card Captors, Matching Ray Earth. In high school, I was very into the Shonen Jump, like all of that. That's like hella like Naruto fan. And I was really into this. My favorite manga to this date that I started in high school is called Blade of the Immortal. And that's probably my favorite manga series. And it just ended like a couple years ago. But I think drawing wise, like storytelling wise, actually, that had an influence on me. Like that one kind of made me be like, oh, I want to tell like kind of like great stories. Because of that, and then not so much like I want to draw like this, and then like what else? Naruto.
Nice, yeah.
That was like, and then that was a period of like if I ever had a comic series, I wanted to do something like Naruto, like something like epic, like kids in a school kind of thing, like but that was like a very much like a high school influence.
Well, I mean, hey,
Yeah.
you're going off of Naruto, so I mean,
Yeah.
can't go much more popular than
No,
Naruto.
exactly. And video games on top of that, like any RPG video games. Definitely Yu-Gi-Oh was a huge influence.
Oh yeah.
That kind of, you can kind of tell from like webcomic, like when they, play with the coins and stuff. That was like a huge part of my childhood. Getting to like duel like other like friends and stuff. And it was like an expensive hobby for kids back then.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember going to tournaments and everything like that, and just be like, oh my gosh. Like, I thought, you think you have this dope deck,
Yeah.
and you're like, man, I got this.
Yeah.
And then someone comes out and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even.
Oh my gosh,
what?
yeah, like
What?
it's so like because I only had like the same people I dueled with, the same friends, the same like cousins or whatever, and then like and the first time I actually went to like a tournament to try out, like I was like I got my ass kicked so bad.
Same.
Yeah, but it was
Like, I
super
remember beating all my friends in school, be like, yeah, man, I got this.
Yeah.
This is easy. Like we would play for cards.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I got like two of my friends' blue eyes. So I was
Yeah.
like, these are mine now.
right.
And then I played this one dude at the tournament, and I was like, oh no, here, you just take whatever you want, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I was
you
like,
spanked me.
I was like, man, there's like a big world out there. It's not just I'm not like just the king of the recess or whatever. like, so like yeah, I was super into Yu-Gi-Oh around the time, and then yeah, that was like the early influences, I guess.
Yeah. I'm just going off of a Fictional Skin, the
Yeah.
like the epic coins.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, those are
It's-
some of those special God cards.
Yeah, yeah, the card cards, like, or like in like even Pokemon, even there's like Charizard card and stuff. Like I never like played Pokemon, but I know like I just happened to have cards, because it was like the thing back then, and like Charizard was such a big deal, like in my school, and like or other rare cards, So I kind of like that whole like I don't know what you call it, tabletop trading card games.
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
I think they're all tabletop games.
Yeah. Like I kind of liked that about my childhood back then. I don't know, like if kids still play it today, but
I mean, I know going to comic book shops and everything, like there's still people playing stuff.
yeah, that's awesome.
But I'm like, I remember getting a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like I would
Yeah.
get like the packs and everything. I never knew how to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, not Yu-Gi-Oh, not Yu-Gi-Oh. I knew how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I never knew how to play Pokemon.
Pokemon, yeah,
But like I watched the show and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool card.
yeah, exactly.
And like I'd get like the Japanese decks and get like the Dratini in a box.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is super cool. I don't know what to do with it.
Exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how to play this game, but it's cool. It's a Dratini in a box. It's
Yeah,
dope.
and then like you kind of like if it, you would know if it's like a rare card, like a holo card or not, like,
Yeah.
and then like yeah, you'd have that to like show off to your friends, but like no one really knew how to play.
Exactly. I would get all those energy cards and be like, I don't know what these do.
Yeah,
I just throw them
exactly.
away.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want the Pokemon.
Yeah. So I think, like, for my comic, like you can tell, like that was that's kind of like what their childhood centered around, or like what are things like that kept them like, like what they like to play, with their friends and stuff. It's because it's kind of like what I remembered back then, especially in video games too, like my PlayStation 1 and stuff, or even my Sega. That's like, yeah, old school stuff. And then, and like just going to, like you see the characters going to the bookstore a lot, like Borders or Barnes and Nobles. Like that's the only way I could read comic books. It's like, I can't read online. Like the internet was like, barely accessible back then. And then the only way I got my comic fix was like going to the bookstore or library.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're the same age.
Okay.
I'm right there with you. I'm 29.
Okay,
so I'm right there. I know all the struggles of dial up and having to find everything. Like I had the I would get the Shonen Jumps at the wall before it was Borders, when it was Walden Books.
Right.
I would go and get like the Shonen Jumps and make sure that I got the one that was in the package that had the free cards and stuff.
Yeah, the free stuff. Yeah, and they were like
always gotta get the free stuff.
Yeah, they were like huge. They're like, it was such a big, like, I don't know if it was the first subscription-based manga comic. There might have been something else before that, but I remember it's one first like I subscribed to. So it was like a big deal to me. Like after seeing in the bookstore so much, then I'm like, oh, like now whenever I get my money, either spend on cards or spend on the subscriptions or the comics.
Exactly. Yeah, that was. I think that was one of the first things.
Yeah.
When I got my first job.
Yeah.
I completely stopped buying them from Walden Books, and I just got the subscription.
Yeah.
And then I would, pop them all up in my closet, so I would have like 19 different stacks of old Shonen Jumps.
Yeah. They have a stack up too. They're huge. Like. But like it was. I was always excited, and like it's like it's a whole month. When you think about it, waiting a whole month.
It's tough.
Yeah, and then like people get their fix in a week. I mean, like in Japan, it's always been weekly, and then when they brought it over to the U.S., it's like monthly, but longer chapters. But it's still like I thought I can still handle like monthly basis thing. Yeah.
I will say it is harder though. I mean, the way everything is now, where everything's like a week, you're like, yeah, this is good stuff. And then when something goes on like a holiday, you're like, oh my gosh, this is tough.
Because you're so used to it, because the schedule, and then or it's like a mid-season thing, break. It's like man, like where am I gonna get my fix now?
Yeah, or if you're like me, you're waiting for them to, come up with more than 35 chapters of Spice and Wolf, and you're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's been like 7 years.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if you ever read Blade of Mortal, but he took his time with that. It was like a couple of chapters a year, and then sometimes even more than that a year, and then it goes back, and then, but like, I finally finished, and I think it was worth the wait. But it's compared to now, like especially like with webcomics, oh my gosh, like everything gets produced like crazy fast, which is amazing. Especially like I think a lot of people they have more access to share their work now, which is really cool. Yeah, which I really like. And then
all right, we're gonna read something. We're gonna read something real quick. Today's episode is sponsored by Ripped Apparel. Rip sells I can't even read. Rip sells awesome designs on t-shirts, hoodies, and more 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. All designs are only available for 24 hours. All of the artwork sold on Ripped Apparel is submitted by artists all over the world. And all t-shirts are just $13. Today, Ripped Apparel is giving ASPers 10% off their next purchase by using the code ASP10 at checkout. So head over to rippedapparel.com, pick up an awesome shirt for $13, and use the promo code ASP10. And done with the ad read.
All right.
Always short, sweet, to the point.
Yep.
So now let's go ahead and talk about your webcomics. Let's talk about Fictional Skin.
Sure.
So was this your first, comic to actually produce?
Yeah, it's my first original comic, I guess.
Okay.
Because before this webcomic, I was just drew a bunch of fan art and fan comics. It's very just for fun, and I had a couple of original stories I had in mind, since high school and college. But I think this one is the one I kept revising, kind of rewriting, redoing the designs and whatever. And then I talked to another friend that helped me with the final redesigns, and then kind of cleaning up the script and everything. And the script, it's pretty much from beginning to end finished, but it really needs to be polished. So after I finished that, and then I'm like, okay, I think I can actually use this as my first webcomic. And I didn't know how long it was. I knew it was gonna be long, but I didn't know it might take longer than I thought. Yeah. But it's still I did draw a lot of comics. I did do some storyboards as work too. And in art school. So I thought I was going to, one of the industry jobs I thought I wanted to get into was storyboarding. and another one was just like was concept art for production, and and both I've worked in before, but then I think comics. I think I'm kind of glad I waited until now to do comics because I learned a lot, like through storyboarding, like in cinematography and like setting up shots. You know, I think that's all important and stuff that like I kind of probably wouldn't be able to execute well if I started webcomic or original comics a long time ago. So sorry, that was the original question.
Oh, yeah. You're good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's.
I'm just gonna spin off of that. What brought about Fictional Skin? So what brought about the story?
So story is, I mean, we talked about this before, how like a lot of the influence here and there came from my childhood. So it is kind of basically that, like, and the type of comics I like to develop kind of are very character driven. Because I've done some, like fan comics in the past where it kind of I kept drawing comics that centered on the characters, just like very almost slice of life type. But I don't know how to say this. And I think the reason for the comic will actually be told later in the story, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
But then I can say for now that since you're also born around the same time, and it's like there's a reason why it was this timeline of the story is set in the early 2000s, because I want to use that because how limited technology was back then. First of all, the technology like that happened or that we had back then compared to now is really limiting in to communicate with each other. And then I thought I would use that to make it more harder for the characters to interact with each other. For instance, like you only had email, right? And then you only had like
I've noticed that you're doing a lot of like the email and like the instant messenger type stuff, and like Finn and Vinny are like calling each other like on the landline.
Yeah, and then that was something like I did. I had I come from a very big family too, and then often like I would. My cousins and I would like call each other like just for fun, or email, and then also what the character didn't say, it makes it even more harder for Finn to find out if he's real or not because he can't meet him because of the long distance, and then there's the whole communication issue, like it's even harder to like try to communicate with him, and then like it's very limiting. So I think that kind of like for me, I took that is an advantage to make it more mysterious and kind of more not suspenseful, but there's a lot of tension to like anticipation. Yeah, that's the word for it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And then I kind of had that when I was young. Like there was always that feeling, like when I start to make like friends online, way back then, there's always this like kind of era of like anticipation to see like how they're like in person. And I feel like it's very easy now today to like get to know anyone like through social media or through we have Skype, we have webcam and everything, and but then like what happened to the characters lived in the era right now. It like they would already see each other like really quick, like Vivi would just get her smartphone and take a picture and like send it to me. Yeah.
Exactly. Be like, look here, I Instagram Jinsei.
Yeah, exactly. And then she'll be like, hey, like, does anyone think this guy looks like this video game character? But I think like when I try and put in perspective like what I grew up with back then, and I think some people like because I have a lot of young readers, I feel like they might not have the same understanding of how limiting it was back then. So it was kind of hard at first to really like execute that. Like, because some people have like, why can't they just like send each other pictures? I'm like, you can't. We didn't have cameras back then.
Yeah, that's not a thing. Yeah, I remember growing up, like me and my best friend, we were totally into everything anime. So we would stay up pull up the cordless phone, he would have to like hide it. So like it wouldn't ring during the night when I called, and we would watch Inuyasha. Yeah. And that's what we would do. So we would watch it, and then during the commercial breaks, that's when we would talk about it. That's awesome. So yeah, like all those hardships, it's not like we could just be like pop up on, just watch it on our phones at school or anything. I can't do that.
Yeah, and then like it's I would when my friends and I found out we could do like 3-way calls, that was like amazing.
Oh, that was the best.
That was amazing. Like, and then like if we can't wait to like hang out with each other like until the next day of school, we could just like call each other, but at the same time, we have no set time to set up a call. We can't text each other, hey, I'm going to call you at 7 p.m. We have to wait.
Oh yeah, it was really bad on the weekends because you're like, okay, so Friday, that's when you would be like, okay, so I'm gonna call you at 7 o'clock on Saturday. Make sure you're there, or I'm gonna send you an IM. Yeah. So that way you could make sure that everybody knew what was going on. And you
also have the risk of like someone else picking up the phone too. Oh
yeah, that was. Or I mean, again, like I lived out in the country, so we had dial-up. So it's like, I hope nobody gets on the. Gets on the internet because I mean I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah, I think I put like I don't remember it, but like there I put the whole like AOL like dial-up thing in the comic.
The whole disc.
Yeah, and like like I put like her mom telling her like, hey, like can you, or the dad like saying like you only need the internet. I mean you're only allowed the internet for this much time because I need to use the phone soon. Yeah. So I kind of like that limitation that the characters have because it kind of makes it more, the emailing each other, it kind of makes it more valuable to them, and it kind of makes it more exciting. Like, I hope like people kind of like see that through the comic, like how exciting it is to just get like a new email, from someone that you like, just kind of like, you're anticipating their message from,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, you're pulling some of your personal experiences into the comic. So, of the three main characters, who do you put more of yourself into?
Definitely Finn. Definitely Finn.
I don't know why I thought that because it was like, oh yeah, he's the artist, so that makes the most sense.
Out of the three, I put a little bit. It's not out of the three, but Alex too.
Okay.
But she is. A little bit. I put a little bit of myself in her, but I put a lot of some of my friends into her too, and Finn for sure because the whole like wanting to draw kind of thing, and then it's even in there like how like his mom's a businesswoman too, and then there's a kind of like a choice like he's probably going to go through later. That that I have gone through, but it might not be exact. But yeah, it's been.
And we'll talk about what you're doing to some of our characters later. Separating Finn and Alex. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. So what have been some of your favorite interactions since you launched Fictional Skin?
With readers or in the comic?
Either, like both, like with your readers and in the comic.
Oh, so reader, I mean, like, just people like commenting in the first place is kind of amazing, because like like as I said, because I've only done like fan art, fandom stuff. There's already a pre-existing context for the characters that I draw with, like the fan comics. So. But with the original, like they're commenting solely on like your creations, and also since I sell at conventions pretty often, I get to see like readers like in person. They get to tell me like what they think in person. That's like I think that experience is very like valuable and like pretty personal to me, Like I think any
awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that you were doing any of the convention circuit. That's pretty cool.
I've actually I've been selling conventions since high school.
Oh really?
So pretty much after I graduated high school. So since I was 18, pretty much like 10 years. Oh my gosh. For a long time, like, and in the beginning it was just like for, just for fun, and it's still for fun. But then I expanded more to other conventions outside of California. And then it was a huge thing, like my friends and I did, and kind of still doing right now. But right now, like I'm definitely the focus is more on the webcomic, which is kind of a new experience for me already. Like, even though I've been going to conventions for so long, like, but selling something original for me and like interacting with readers is a pretty new experience. So I think that's what I look forward to, in terms of like the interactions. But what was I saying for the webcomic, right? Like inside the webcomic? Yeah. I love the cousins interactions. I mean, like some of it is really like probably obviously inspired by how my cousins interact with each other, like or how I interact with my cousins, because we have like we're pretty close. Most of us live in California, and then when it's time for like the holidays, like when we were young, like we would always keep seeing each other. And then now that we're older and we can drive, we go out of our way to like hang out with each other. So the Finn and Vivi, I think I think it's just like fun to me. And then Jinsei and Vivi is very like it's fun to me too. Jinsei is a very hard character to write for me, so it's sometimes it's a little not frustrating, but it's a little hard to kind of like pinpoint their interactions, but I have a lot of fun with them too. Nice. Yeah.
So what are your hopes for the comic in the future?
I want it to end. I mean, I don't want it to end now. I want it to finish. Because I think like the thing I fear is not being able to finish a comic. For various reasons. It could be for anything, like just life. And then, that's fine. If life gets in the way, that's fine. And then I can always go back to it. But then that's the end goal. Like, even though it sounds obvious, I want to finish the comic.
Well, yeah, you want to finish the comic, but because you want to move on to something else.
Exactly. Yeah.
You want to tell another story.
Yeah. There's just, it's a comic I want to do for a while, and it's something like I hope to finish and I hope to move on. And then like, not that I've already moved on from it, but there's a ton of other things I want to do too, and I don't like putting things on the back burner. Like I don't like starting on other long-term projects on the same time. Like I can, short term is fine, but like I've seen it happen so many times where like, and it is normal too for people like just kind of lost interest or whatever else that happens. So I would the goal, is to finish it like how I imagine it to finish and how I want it to be. Not just because it's an obligation for it to like end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Yeah.
So, do you have any advice for people wanting to create their own comics?
Let's see.
Just don't.
Yeah. If you want to like have a healthy lifestyle, I would say it helps to have a beginning and end. And for writing is so hard, honestly, for me at least. Like, so when it helped to find like to figure out how I want it to end, or what the journey is going to be like, it made the process easier in a way, because if you get lost, you can always be like, okay, like think about like how how it's going to end, how are you going to get there, so I keep helps me backtrack a lot, and having someone to help you have a second opinion definitely helps. Yeah, okay. That helps a lot. Like I would just message like the script to a friend or like whatever, and then I'd be like, I'm not sure about this, and then it helps to see like, because you're working on something so long, it's easy to be like, oh, you're kind of getting like off tangent about this, or like a friend would she gave me some really good advice how when you're writing a script, it's important to figure out the character's voice. So if you take out their names in the script, right, can you still figure out who's saying what? I was like, oh my gosh, I never realized that. And then the thing is, sometimes all my characters can sound the same too if I just took their names out. If you're just reading the script, I was like, okay, like I think I need to change up how they talk a little bit, especially how they interact with each other. But if they're like, for instance, like if I grew up like Southern California a lot, I don't know if there's a certain way how we speak. Some people say we do, but if all my characters start talking like Southern California, I feel like I want to give them a bit more like background personality, like where they're coming from, but little stuff like that I think helps me a lot for the comic. But another great advice for comics: learn how to take breaks. Learn to take care of yourself. That's very important. It's okay if things doesn't work out the way you want. It's always going to be there. It's not going to go anywhere. But taking care of yourself is very important. My readers keep telling me this too. They're like, please take care of yourself. I think that's a really important one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stress enough, having to take breaks as well.
Yeah.
Because we put up an episode every week since we started back in August of 2016.
Yeah.
So we do an episode a week. But there are a lot of episodes I keep in the bank because having to do this every week, you run out of material real quick. I don't even know how you can constantly tell a story each and every week. Because I'm just like, I just get to pick something I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, oh my gosh, is this even relevant? Do people care about me talking about this?
Like finding content itself is very hard. Like, and then I don't know much about podcasting, but like, I mean, I don't know how big your team is, but like there's
my team. It would be me and a couple co-hosts.
Yeah,
but like the editing, everything like that. That's all me.
Yeah, so it's a lot just only a small group of you guys, and then like but in comparison to other like podcasts, like they have like huge, like they can find like all sorts of people to find content for them, or they have a whole backlog of stuff they want to showcase. So like it's important to give yourself, like I tell myself, it's important to give yourself a pat on the back to like doing what you're doing. Because like you see a lot of independent creators, right now, like within the last few years, especially within the last few years, like I think they're really hard on themselves, I feel like, because they're trying to keep up with everything. And even onto like even a professional standard, I'm thinking like, but it's not really fair on themselves to, like when you're comparing yourself to the standard of all these other things, I think it's important to just kind of keep up with your own standard. Yeah, for sure. So I think that's something I learned on the way. Like, when we're doing like the weekly thing, I'm just like, like, you know what? You can do it, but can you like survive? Yeah.
So do you have any future projects or announcements you're allowed to share with us? Like, when's that art book coming out?
The art. Okay, so I'm doing Oregon 2 books right now. Volume 2, and Volume 2 is going to be smaller than Volume 1. Pretty much, I'm splitting it into 2 books this year because I'm making 2 and 3 this year actually. But 3 is 3 is going to be way later in the year because Volume 1 was about 100 pages, and the costs involved was really high. And I realized, like, I've sold a lot of books at conventions and online before, but they're all fan books, like there's already kind of pre-existing like fan base for it. which helps. And then this one's like, okay, so I kind of already have my own fan base, but also like a lot of them are pretty young too. And $28 is a lot for one book. It's a lot. So I figured the next book will just be splitting into two, and it'll be like way much more affordable, and affordable for me too, because printing it costs a lot too.
I imagine.
Yeah, the costs really add up, and so it'll be the volume 2 is coming out, and then I'm doing another art book, just kind of for fun, and it's going to be like a uniform themed one, and that's coming out at the same time as volume 2 because I'm preparing like these new books for Toronto Comic Arts Festival, and and that's coming up in May. So I'm planning to hopefully finish all of these in April.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Okay, so now just a few quick like lightning round questions. So first off, what's your favorite anime?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
I don't have one.
Okay, then what's the one that you always want to watch? Like say it's on, and you just want to sit there and watch it.
Actually, I like Hoseki no Kuni. Okay. Yeah. That's one I watched very recently, and then I can't wait if they make a second season. I've actually been watching a lot more TV shows. Okay. Yeah, because they're kind of easier for me to like watch and work at the same time. Anime, I have to like kind of dedicate like that weekend for it. So I haven't been watching as much, but Hoseki no Kuni, I really like. And watching the new Card Captors.
Nice.
Yeah, which is awesome. So I watched that way back, and then
I remember watching that. That would have been on WB.
Yeah.
Like back in the days with the wonderful dubbing.
Yeah.
And that awesome Card Captor song.
Yeah. It's so good. And then it's have you watched the new series, the Clear Card series?
I've been reading it.
Okay.
I haven't been watching it.
All right.
But I just thought it was cool, like on that first chapter.
Yeah.
When they meet again.
Yeah.
And like Sakura's got a freaking iPhone.
I know.
I'm like, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, and there's this one part when like Toya, like he takes a picture and sends it to Yukito. I was like, oh my gosh, they would never be able to do that back then. Like it reminds me of like my comic too, where it's like they would never be able, like if I redrew my series now, like they would send pictures all the time,
Yeah, you would have been over in like chapter 7.
Right? Yeah, like the mystery would have been solved like in 2 chapters. Yeah. Yeah, like I really enjoyed it, and like I kind of like that they kind of change the technology too.
Yeah, it's a nice touch for sure.
Yeah.
So favorite TV shows then?
TV show. Well, the one I'm watching right now is Riverdale, because Archie Comics, and what else? I mean, there's
I'm trying to watch Riverdale. I missed the first like 4 episodes, and on that CW app, it like deletes X amount of episodes.
Oh no!
So I'm waiting for them to start back at episode 1, so I can watch it again. Or season 2, episode 1.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, come on, guys.
I don't know. I couldn't wait. I just went ahead and bought the Google Play subscription.
I may just end up doing that.
Yeah.
And just buying it.
Yeah. But for what it is, like, and especially it's like a darker type of, like, but I love it. It's a very CW show, like, but it's kind of like if you want to watch shows like that, I love it. And what else? I used to watch, like Walking Dead a lot. Of course, like Game of Thrones. I haven't watched many Netflix originals. But there's some. I've been wanting to watch The Punisher. I heard that one was really good. Yeah. Yeah. That's the TV shows I've been kind of like been watching.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so when are Jinsei and Vivi getting together?
They gotta take their time, you know, like figure stuff out. What I can say,
it's okay. I'm just kidding. You don't gotta answer that. Don't answer that one.
I'm trying to say something.
I was just trying to trip you up.
I know. Like, I'm just very curious what people are gonna think about, like, in the upcoming whatever that's gonna happen.
Yeah, especially when you kill Vivi. That's gonna be a weird. It's gonna be a weird plot twist.
Yeah.
She gets amnesia.
It's like a hella Korean drama all of a sudden. Yeah, like amnesia. It's like yeah. This always has to have amnesia, where like someone gets in a coma, like, you know.
And then there'll be a brother.
Yeah, they'll be like.
Yeah. Finn and Jinsei are actually related, and you're like, wait, how?
They're like secretly related, or like maybe has like a long lost like relative, or like sister or brother, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be. I just want to say, I hope it won't like disappoint people. Yeah, that's all I can say.
All right, yeah. So Kristina, it's been super fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Now, where can all of our listeners find you?
Social media, you can find me on Twitter under Hakuku. Instagram, it's called Hukaka instead, because the name the Hakuku was taken, and then you can find Fictional Skin on Webtoons and Tapas.
And you can find Fictional Sin on that's your next one. Right? That's like volume 2. It's a Fictional Sin.
I don't know that, or that's like
it's just Fictional Skin After Dark.
It's like the Tsubasa Chronicles version of Card Captors or something. Alternate universe. Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah. I was like, that's what kind of like Tsubasa and Kingdom Hearts kind of similar to me for some reason.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, and I thought that was weird. I mean, I liked what Clamp did when they did Tsubasa.
Yeah. It was eerie.
Like I thought it was a really cool touch.
Yeah.
And then it
got weird.
It got weird. Yeah, we don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, I don't see anyone talking about it. But they like tried.
They tried.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it was interesting from the start. Yeah.
And like we said, definitely follow Fictional Skin on Webtoon. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at Animation Station Podcast, on Twitter at Animate Podcast, and Facebook and Tumblr at Animation Station Podcast. You can also find all of our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and on our website, animationstationpodcast.com. And we'll put all of Kristina's link, we'll put all of your links in the show notes, so that way everybody can find you on social media. All right, excellent. Okay. So, Kristina, again, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was my first podcast.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. I hope it'll turn out fine.
Oh, they'll be fine. I can edit around all the back.
All right, awesome. Yeah.
We'll edit all the spoilers out.
Yeah, edit like I don't know if you can edit that one. If you hear my dog whining, then
it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So for the Animation Station Podcast, I'm Josh.
Oh, I'm Kristina. Oh, sorry, my dog just came up. I'm Kristina.
No, you're fine.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everybody.